Well, Tuesday was frustrating, wasn't it, ultimately? But some positives to take into the weekend?
Yeah, I think we played well enough to get something out of the game, definitely. We watched it back. I said after the game we weren't as good in possession as I thought. Looking back, we were okay in possession, but I still strive to be better. We had a couple of near misses, balls come past the post. Tom Nichols' shot hit the post, which he wasn't offside, and another day they go in, but they just didn't. And like I said to you after the game, it was just a lapse of concentration, more than a mistake, really. Grant, they was saying afterwards that he should have took him down on the halfway line. We knew that. It's something that I think Brad Inman ran through their midfield and Ferguson tripped him up on the halfway line. It's just little things like that defines games sometimes. And probably streetwise we spoke about after the game, but Anthony Grant is that, because that's the reason why we brought him to the club. So we can learn from it. We're moving on very, very quickly. Like I say, we've no time to worry about what the previous result or even win, lose or draw, because it does no favours for you. So we're only looking forward to another good game at Bradford at the weekend.
Yeah, front men, as you mentioned, got to some good positions, couldn't quite find that final touch. Are they still searching for that ruthlessness that's required, do you feel?
Yeah, of course. I mean, what is it? Tom's got 12 goals, hasn't he? So it's not a bad return for a first year in League One, and I'm sure he'll get a few more before the end of the season. So it is trying to find the missing link to put the ball in the back of the net. But it's common. We're trying everything we can. We're working really hard on the training pitch. But ultimately, when the boys cross that white line, they need to take the chances, and the ball comes their way, they need to take it. So, a disappointing result on the night at Millwall, because I felt, like I said, we did enough to come away from the game with a point, possibly 3, with the chances we had. But we move on very, very quickly.
We discussed, I think it was 2 weeks ago, Lee Angle and his role in the team and how he's working hard to adapt to the way you want to play. Is he getting there? Is the penny dropping? Is he getting any closer to putting himself up for a place in the starting 11 again?
It's been frustrating for Lee. He's come back from his injury. He's been, he hasn't really taken the bull by the horns as such. I see these players every single day of the week. Players only see them at the week, or fans only see them at the weekend. So that's why decisions on teams are based, because I see what they do, I see their demeanour, I see everything about them. So Lee's struggled a wee bit since he's come back from his injury. Possibly hasn't had a run on the team, but like I say to the players all the time, it's not always my fault. It's you've got to look at yourself in the mirror and say, have I done enough today in training? Have I done enough in the game to keep myself in the team? And that's the way we move forward with all the players, not just Lee.
Is it one of those where in a different season you might have looked to get him out on loan for a month or so to get some more games under his belt, to play more regular first team football? Of course he can't do that in the Football League anyway, can he, at the moment, because of the new rules?
Well, it's possibly something we'll look at over the next couple of days, to be honest, to try and get him out on loan to maybe the conference, to get his confidence back up. And I've always said Lee's a big part of this football club for me, and hopefully will be in the future. And when you come back from injury, it's difficult sometimes to try and sustain the level. I felt as if he would have had a really good season if he didn't pick up that injury, and he's just struggled since he'd come back from it a little bit. So possibly we'll look at it over the next couple of days and see if we can get him somewhere to get his confidence back, and get himself in the right frame of mind, really, again, and to get the love of football back. I think this is what always missing with Lee Angle.
Yeah. And Bradford next up this weekend decided who've got this long unbeaten home record, but they've drawn so many games. I think they've only won 6 at home, drawn the rest this season. Difficult to sort of work out why that is.
Yeah, I know. I was speaking to their assistant manager at one of the events I went to a few weeks ago, and he was saying they just can't buy a win at home. They've struggled. They've drawn a lot of games there. So I don't know whether the pressure of the loads of fans there is hindering them. But I mean, I wouldn't have thought so. I think I would probably drive you on. But Bradford's problems at home is not ours. We need to just make sure and go there. We go there and try and win the game. That's the be all and end all. We want to go there and try and win it. We know they've struggled a little bit at home, but they don't get beat many times there. So we got to try and find a way and make sure we go there and with a positive frame of mind, which we are in, and always have been, and maintained that during the season. So got to go there in a positive frame of mind, that we can win the game. That's the focus for the players.
It's certainly on the evidence of their performance at the ABACs back in August. I think it was they like to play football, don't they? They really tried to get the ball on the floor, and they were quite impressive that day.
Yeah, they were good that day. To be fair, I think they are a different team in terms of where they were last year. I think that they move it a lot more. They try and open you up. They've got players who can hurt you. But listen, I say this every week about every team. We got to make sure our players start hurting opposition teams more than their team. The players in their team are hurting us. So we're striving to do that every day, and we just got, like I say to you, we got to make sure we keep ourselves in the hunt for the top 6, because it's a lot of people may think it's we've wrote it off. We haven't. It's a conversation I'm having with the players is to focus on the next game. But deep down we know we've still got a chance of getting there.
What do you reckon? Seven wins will get you over the 70-point barrier, and then I suppose you never know, that might be enough.
Yeah, I mean 74 points definitely guarantees you in there. That's I think that would be a perfect amount to get you there really. That would be 8 wins in the next 11. 7, we've got, listen, the way we're going at the minute, we're guaranteed to get 6, aren't we? So we're going win, lose. So 6 wouldn't get us there. 6 wouldn't get us there, but if we can tweak something and twist something and maybe get 7 and a couple of draws, who knows?
Just wanted to ask you about Bradford's pitch. It doesn't look great at the minute. I think they've had trouble with it this season. It's very bobbly, maybe difficult to play the sort of football they want to play. Do you have to look at that and tweak how you go about things accordingly?
Yeah, it didn't. It looked quite heavy. To be fair, we watched the game the other day. It looked quite heavy, but I think it's flat enough to still keep the ball on the floor. We watched the game and they still can move the ball about on it. So, listen, a pitch is a pitch, isn't it? At the end of the day, whether it's bobbly or bumpy or wet or long or whatever, you still gotta be brave enough and confident enough to handle the ball and keep it, and create opportunities when they come your way.
How's Harry Anderson getting on? It was a couple of weeks ago we spoke, and he said he was getting there closer and closer to a return. Is he almost there?
Harry's trained. He trained today. That's his 3rd training session with us today. So he's definitely getting there. I brought him to Millwall with us just to get him back involved in the squad again. He's around it. He's definitely around it, and it's good to have him back because he brings something different to the team. He's more raw pace and strength, and just gets at people, and he's aggressive as well, Harry. So definitely a different attribute to what we've got already in the team. Yeah,
and it gives you a couple of options. I think you've said obviously he can play out wide. I think naturally he is a winger or has been, but he could also play at fullback and give you an attacking edge in that area of the pitch.
Of course, he can play. He can play in a number of positions. Harry, he can play left. He can play right. He could play right back. He could play behind a forward or anything. He can play in a number of positions. He can adapt to certain positions because he's a good kid. He wants to learn, and it's the reason why I brought him back from Lincoln. Did
everyone come through Tuesday night okay without a knock or a niggle, or were there a few bruises come Wednesday morning?
Yeah, 1 or 2 little knocks. 1 or 2 didn't train today, but listen, as you expect from a game, I'm hoping they're going to be okay for the weekend, but we'll play it by ear today. Keep in touch with the physio most of the day and see how they're recovering. But apart from those 2, really, there's nothing really. Everyone else trained as normal this morning.
And what you have got, of course, is options. I mean, Forrester, who we've said before, or you've said on Tuesday, can be the best player in this league in that midfield role. He was on the bench and had to be content with that on Tuesday. So you got the options, you got players ready and available to come in.
Well, I looked at Chris' stats when he came on against Millwall, and I'm not sure how long he was on for. I think it was 20 odd minutes, but he had more touches than most of the midfield players that was on the pitch for 60, 70, 80 minutes. So 90 minutes, and that's Chris. That's what he can do when he's on his game. He gets on the ball, he makes things happen. I had a good chat with him this morning and just said, listen, the next 11 games is when a captain comes into his own. He rallies his troops. He realises that this is the massive part of the season. It's the business end, and you need to make sure that you get the boys together now, and your performance first and foremost will back that up. Because Chris is a top player. Like I told you the other day, when he's on his game, he is one of the best in this league, if not the best in my opinion. So it's about Chris, getting his game back now. We've done everything we can to help him, obviously in his personal problems and things like that, as we would as a football club. Now I think he's back, where we need him. and I'm sure he'll play a huge part till the end of the season.
And I suppose it's important for him to remember this is his first dip, really, isn't it? Since he's joined Posh, and every player has a dip in form, and this is a player who's played a lot of games last season on the back of an Irish season, and then continued again, experiencing league football for the first time in his career.
Yeah, I mean, players do have dips. That's you know, they do have dips, but we don't need dips for 2 months, or dips 1 or 2 games, yes, but not for 2 months. So it's important that everyone realises now that, you know, the focus is certainly on each game as it comes, and not getting too far ahead of themselves, you know. But dips happen in football. I know that, everybody else knows that, but we got to make sure the boys are focused now, because we can't afford any more dips. We can't afford any more excuses, or any more, you know, I'm a bit stiff today, I'm tired, you know, things like that. We got to knuckle down now to the end of the season, because that's what the best teams do.